What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. Very excited right now. So if you guys have been following this build, the K24 all-wheel drive Type R, you know that we've been having a few little issues with it. Yesterday the problems were the brake system, the hydraulic system, and the coolant system. Before I left the shop last night, I got this thing up to temp, went up to about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and I decided to let it cool down and sit overnight with a bunch of coolant in this funnel here. And unless all the coolant leaked on the ground, which I don't see anything down there, it looks like this thing had some air in the system and it bled out overnight. There was a decent amount in here. It's probably about up to here. So what I'm gonna do, first things first, go ahead, slap more coolant in it, fire it up, and see if the coolant system is finally bled out. That would be ideal. I let it sit forever idling. The hottest you'll get is 92 degrees Celsius, which is about 195 Fahrenheit, where before it was getting up to like 210, 215 idling. So we should be, ooh. Still got air in the system. Man, oh man. All right, well, I'm gonna keep bleeding and see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and string this thing up as we are finishing up bleeding out the cooling system. All of the rear control arm hardware is still loose. A little bit sus. She's all over the road. Alrighty, let's hit a quick drive and see how this thing reacts with the new alignment, and keep an eye on the coolant temp. Warmest I've seen so far is 91 degrees Celsius. So that's 194, 195, I think. I can tell when this thing's all like dialed in, it's gonna be so freaking fun. It drives pretty similar to a stock car, a little more vibration, which I may try to take care of. It's honestly not all that bad. Idle, it does rattle the dash, but just cruising around, it feels like a nice Type R. Just a quality Type R. I'm excited. Long time in the making. It's crazy what you can accomplish when you bust your ass and you have a vision for a car. And I know she ain't done yet, but damn, we are getting close. I want to do a pull, just a fatty pull. This thing is still wanting to get a little bit warm. It very well could just be that we need another fan, but the weird thing is, on my Evo, the Blue Evo 8, half rad, half the size of the radiator, one tiny fan, never had a single issue in the heat of summer. So it's a little bit confusing. This thing is slowly but surely starting to look like a car again. Still no luck with the coolant system, but we got the fenders on, one headlight on, and the wiring for the other side headlight is too short. Way too short if I'm being honest. It is way down here and it needs to be up here. So let's go ahead and knock out a quick extension on that, get the headlight on, and then we can make sure all the lighting stuff works. Blinkers, high beams, low beams, everything. Installed, wired. Let's see if we did it right. All right, headlights on. Sweet. Let's check blinkers. Hazards on. Bam. High beams work as they should. Everything works. Wiper motor works. The only one thing I have yet to figure out is the hatch, but we'll take care of that later. I only threw 5 gallons in it just in case we start tuning this thing soon on E. But I'm gonna try to make it down to Bobby's stand. It's like 10 minutes away from here, so we'll see what she does. All right, dudes, we are up to 17 kilometers. This thing pulls all over the road, and I'm not sure why. Alignment's not that far off to where it would cause that, in my opinion. I've stringed up a lot of cars in my day, and yeah, so I don't know if something's loose. We have a messed up bushing somewhere. We do not have sway bars on the car, but I don't think that would cause what I'm currently experiencing. But yeah, I'm gonna head back to the shop and change the oil, take a look at the suspension and steering and whatnot, see if I can figure out why this thing grabs every rut and wants to throw you in the ditch. But I did get my coffee. Great success. Oil is changed, got the filter off. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this open, make sure there's nothing crazy going on. But before I do that, I'm gonna run to the local Harbor Freight and buy this freaking vacuum bleeder so I can be done with this coolant system once and for all. These Hawkeyes gotta make the best dailies. They're fun, they look good, they got power, they get pretty good gas mileage, and you guys can actually win this car for $1. My boy Remy, you guys have seen Remy on the channel a bit. He is giving away this Hawkeye STI, brand new motor, just put in. Every $1 you spend on his website equals 1 entry. So if you buy a shirt, say the shirt's 30 bucks, that gets you 30 entries to win this thing. I'll go ahead and link his website down below if you guys are interested. This car is amazing, drives very, very nice. I don't know if you guys remember the good old Hawkeye STI I used to have back in the day. This girl reminds me of it so much. I miss these things. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. Bro, what? There's no way this is what happens. I wonder if I have to start with the system empty. All right, so you have to start with the coolant system empty, and then you pull a vacuum. As soon as you have about 24, 25 pounds of vacuum, you close the one valve, open the valve for the coolant hose, and it fills the system. Let's see how good it works. This might be pretty handy. So you pull the vacuum, remove the air, open the valve for the coolant, and she fills up. All right, well, she hit 0, so it should be full. If this don't fix it, it's gotta be a fan issue. There's no way. Ain't no way. Well, I used the vacuum pump and the car was still getting extremely warm. So now I'm trying to bleed it one last time with the back end way up in the air. And the reason for this is so the filler neck is by far the highest point of the whole entire cooling system. When the car is on the ground and level, the radiator seems to be a little bit higher than the filler neck. So now with it way up in the air like that, a little bit sketchy, but it's what we gotta do. I don't want this thing overheating. I did go ahead and cut open the oil filter, as you guys saw. It was absolutely spotless. So that is, of course, a good sign. Last shot before I give up. Let's slap her back on the ground, fire it up, see what happens. I think I'm gonna fire it up, get it up to temp, and then do what I just did. Back end way up in the air and let it sit overnight with the funnel on there. I did see some comments about maybe the 16 AN lines being too small, but that's literally what every Honda boy or like tuner car runs, is just a 16 AN. So I don't know, man. Got the heat cranks. See what happens. Coolant temps are up to 206. Now here's the weird thing. If you grab a infrared gun like we have here, you can check some stuff. So our filler neck is at 160, our radiator's at 118, our lower hose is at 150. So there's a massive difference in between the radiator and like the engine. But if you come on Bobby's car, I've been, just for testing, I've been letting this thing idle. So where the coolant goes into the motor, upper radiator hose, 189, lower radiator hose 182, radiator is 170. So what that tells me is it's not a cooling issue of like fan stuff, radiator size, all that good stuff, because if it was, then the radiator would be extremely hot as well as the engine. But being that the radiator is like 50 degrees cooler than, or maybe even more, 60 degrees cooler than the engine, I'm assuming if somehow there's still an air pocket in here and it's not allowing the coolant to properly flow through the motor and the radiator as well. So I'm gonna keep trying this. It's gotta bleed out one day. If it doesn't, I really don't know what to try. I've seen people comment about the 16 AN. Like I said, the 16 AN lines being too small, but literally everyone runs 16 AN lines. It's up to 207 now, so I'm gonna kill this thing, put the back end up in the air and see if any air comes out. I would say that's probably high enough. Okay, I got it marked. I'm gonna let it sit like this overnight. Come back in the morning, see where we're at. If this coolant didn't go down at all while waiting hours, it's bled. And it did go down about an inch. We marked it right there last night. No, that's not an inch. I would say ½ inch, 5/8 of an inch. Let's call it over there. Well, I'm gonna put this thing back on the ground. Hopefully that helped a little bit. There might be even more air in the system. I'm not really sure, but that's pretty significant. This girl is absolutely filthy, but every single body panel is on the car. Everything fits. I was worried about the bumper hitting the fuse box or the relay box or the intercooler, but literally everything fits as it should. So sick. I decided I'm just gonna go drive this thing, put some more miles on it, and hopefully eventually, if there is still air in the system, which I don't know how there is, but if there is, it'll come out. It is such a weird, crazy feeling seeing this car complete. From the outside, it literally looks factory. But just knowing it's all-wheel drive, knowing it has a K24, it's surreal. And knowing I built damn near every part of this car. Let's pop the hood and take a look at it. Bonkers. I got some errands to run. I'm gonna run them in the Type R. A lot of you guys are very, very helpful in the comment sections, and as always, I tell you guys all the time, I really appreciate it. But it sounds like we have a good probable solution for our brake system as well. So I need to grab some stuff for that, and there's a couple different steps I'm gonna take to try and resolve the issue with the brakes. But let's go drive. I'm not really concerned about the plastic. I'm more upset that there's plastic all over my beautiful Speed Factory manifold now. Sad. Hopefully it cleans off. Nice. Hood struts are on the car. Initially they bolted on right here, but it didn't open the hood very much. So I changed it to a hole that was pre-drilled in the fender back there. Now the hood opens way more, which of course gives you more space to work on your claptrap when the coolant will not bleed, which it still will not bleed. So yeah, that's a wrap. I'm gonna end this video out here. This car is kind of undrivable, and in the next video we're gonna go through and hopefully fix and make this thing actually drive good. It's a pretty big problem. So I'll see you guys then.